with all the big talking points, discussion and all the latest news from the football world. This is the TubeMix Football Central podcast.
Welcome to episode 2 of the TubeMix Football Central podcast. This week in the world, we said bye then to Donald and hello to Joe. Remembrance Sunday was celebrated, or however you want to put it, across world football, as well as the rest of the world, obviously. And Scotland qualified for their first major tournament in 22 years after a penalty win over, I don't know the team, but a team, Serbia, with David Marshall, the hero, after a top-class penalty save. Joining me today, the man whose channel this is, of course, Mr. TubeMix. Hello, Will.
Thank you, good evening. Looking forward to it again.
Yep, I'm making his podcast debut, even though he's not very happy about it, but, we can't all get what we want. It's the one, the only, and may I say, thank God he is the only, Mr. Sam Taylor. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. Sorry, everybody, that we're not doing this live, but it's a commercial decision.
Shut the fuck up. Moan to VAR.
Red card.
Yeah, so I actually thought it was a really good match week this week just gone. And there were some shocks in there for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously the only place, the correct place to start is at the beginning, as Burnley and Brighton played out a 0-0 draw. Did we see the game? Did we hear the game? How did we enjoy this one?
Well, there wasn't much to enjoy, was there?
No, it wasn't a very exciting one, was it?
No, I mean, obviously the standout thing was the first league start for Brighton for Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, because they signed him on deadline day, didn't they?
Who I think we could, or I at least could see that he was definitely low on confidence, bless him.
No, he just he wasn't. He had a few chances and he's probably short of fitness. That is so unfair to say.
Yeah, but it's a mixture of things, isn't it? Obviously, he's not, when he joined Brighton, he said that he felt good, he felt ready. But obviously, his strike rate since maybe his last couple of years at Arsenal hasn't been great. And obviously at Watford, he scored that amazing bicycle kick last season. But really didn't hit the ground running there.
No.
He is a good player. He has had lots of injuries.
Like Sam said, I think he will develop into a good signing for them.
I think I would agree with you, lads. It's a mixture of, fitness, but also confidence, actually.
At United, he worked so hard. He was everywhere, wasn't he, Will? Like, he would defend, he would, drop into midfield.
Yes, I remember he was quite good at United, wasn't he, with Van Persie and Rooney?
I think we made a mistake letting him go.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Yes, we did. We should not have let him. He was our best player under Van Gaal at the start, and then again got rid of him.
He'd be in the treatment room if he was playing for United, along with Phil Jones. He might as well become a physio.
Yeah, but at United, he was pretty consistent fitness-wise. I agree with Sam to some extent. I do and I don't. I think because Rooney was still on form and Van Persie hadn't started to drop off yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're a lot older than he was.
No. Yeah, hang on. That's not the point I'm making. What I mean is obviously for Welbeck, he saw it as a chance to, Arsene Wenger, great manager. Things really weren't going well at United. He still was, he was playing a bit, but not as much as he probably would have wanted. Because, like you said, Van Persie and Rooney were older. They also brought Falcao in.
Oh, they did, yeah. Di Maria, did he come the same time?
Yeah, not only that, but James Wilson. James Wilson was on the scene, obviously.
Oh, of course, yep.
And Di Maria did come in, but obviously he didn't play in the position. He didn't play in a position to sort of trouble Welbeck. And the Arsenal move seemed like a good move at the time, but obviously injuries got to him.
He did score a lot of goals, though, didn't he, still, for Arsenal?
A few, yeah.
So he wasn't a complete failure there?
No, I think if we're going to talk about this game, especially because Burnley and Brighton have started, especially Brighton, I felt like they were doing really well, and then they started to tail off a little bit.
Brighton have been. It seems to be the same problems, doesn't it? They play well and they play some great style of football, but they can't get the win.
Why?
What's that?
You know why? Because they struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. That's why.
I like Connolly and Morpetty.
Yeah, no, they're good players, but they're not going to get you 20 goals a season.
Is Glenn Murray a loss, do you think?
Is Glenn Murray a loss? No, if say so.
No, not at his age, and he would be if he was younger. I have to say, if they had Danny Ings in their team, they would be comfortably mid-table.
Oh, Danny Ings is a fantastic player.
Yeah, and we will get on to him, or the lack of him, shall we say, that we'll talk about the next game. But I agree. I think that with Brighton, they do have all that good play. Obviously, the key moment in the match was the glaring Tariq Lamptey miss from 6 yards out.
Sam's
secret lover?
No. Thank God. Whoa. When have I ever said he was a secret lover? I've said that I love him as a footballer.
It's our running gag because we know how much you love Lamptey.
Yeah, he's going to make mistakes, though, isn't he? Because he's only young.
At the end of the day, he's a fullback. He shouldn't be in those positions anyway. But fair play to him. It's credit enough to him that he was in that position. And you can't expect a 19-year-old with only one professional goal to be banging him in like he's Alan Shearer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just love his energy, like you said, his energy. He's a great player because of his energy. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get you.
He's up and down that wing like I don't know what.
He's so quick, isn't he? When I watched him against United, and not just that, but just when I've seen him, he's just so quick. The lad is just amazing, and I really hope.
And he's a proper defender. That's what I like about him. He gets forward.
Yeah.
But he's as quick going backwards as he is forwards, and I love that.
And now, a recurring theme that we're going to find as we go through these games is some of the teams at the bottom didn't play badly and had chances to win,
but can't get that win.
Yeah, but also didn't get the win. We saw it with West Brom, played very well against Tottenham. We'll get into that.
But it's having those moments like that individual quality can get Spurs through where
like as West Brom
can play brilliantly for 90 minutes and still come away having lost, even if they've been been the better side.
I think West Brom are the best example of the problem that we highlighted with Brighton. They have not got a talismanic striker. I think it will come to Grant. I really like him. I think he's a smart acquisition. But other than that, the likes of Robinson, I don't think he's cut out for this level. Obviously it's early days for him, but he does. The signs aren't good.
Because
And
Solomon
then, you know, they've
Rondon,
obviously
he used to score loads, didn't he, quite for West Brom?
Who would have signed not good for West Brom as a team? Or
I said Callum Robinson, and then obviously they've got Charlie Austin on the bench. We know how good of a player he can be.
Yes.
Again, for him, it's finding consistency. I feel like he could be that talismanic striker if he got fit and had those chances and could do it. I think the team in the best position in terms of strikers, you know, you look at Fulham with Mitrovic and Bobby Reed, but for me it is Burnley with Barnes and Wood and
Lookman.
Rodriguez.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course,
and
yeah, Lookman, yeah.
You know, but with Barnes and Rodriguez and Chris Wood, you know, that's as good a forward line in the
Dwight
you know,
McNeil, he tends to score quite a few at Burnley as
Yeah,
well.
and I suppose you'd have to, like, I know Southampton are not in that bottom half right now, but traditionally bottom half, you probably say Southampton have got the best attacking. And I don't mean to be thingy Southampton, because I know you guys are right at the top of the table.
Oh, absolutely. Southampton are fantastic at the moment.
All I'm making the point is the traditional bottom half teams, you've got the best attack force for me.
Yes, because you've got...
And that means that because you look very good behind you as well with Ward-Prowse, who I think looks like he's matured, finally is living up to his potential.
He's resurrected, isn't he, I think, Ward-Prowse?
He was always
no,
a good
I
player.
think he's always been that quality player, but I just don't think that the styles of other managers have highlighted what he can do. Whereas Hasenhüttl really has brought the best out in him. Obviously, we can talk about Southampton in a minute, but another point that I just want to make is one. I just realised that last week we said that when we talk about games, we would compare them to our predictions from last week. We've not done that, so sorry.
Apologies.
I also want to avoid having that conversation of, you know, what's going to happen to Burnley, what's going to happen to Brighton.
Well, I think they're in trouble. I really do.
We've established multiple times, you know, Burnley have a manager capable of keeping them up, and also the team capable of keeping them up. The only problem is that they don't have the depth, and that is obviously the worry for Brighton as well. The same, you know, if one of Connolly or Maupay gets injured, who will play a striker? And that's a position where they're already struggling anyway.
Yeah, and if Welbeck's injured as well.
Yeah, so we'll see. It was a boring draw. Brighton, I think, did edge it in terms of the contest, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what obviously that first Burnley's first point this season, I think. So I'm looking
second, isn't it?
Second point.
I think it's the second.
You might be right, but I'm looking forward to seeing whether, you know, Burnley can really build on some decent performance.
I think they will.
They didn't even play that bad against Chelsea, by the way. Just to put that out there, they didn't play that badly against Chelsea. Obviously, it was just like Ziyech is just quality, but again, we'll get onto him. The next one that I really want to talk about.
Don't you mean Sheffield when Sheffield United played Chelsea?
No, because he also was really good against Burnley, wasn't he? He got a goal and an assist.
Oh, Ziyech is brilliant.
I also think that Sheffield United will be all right.
Yeah, I agree.
See, I don't think they will.
Because they're only losing by the odd goals if you take the Chelsea result out.
And they've got they're John Egan as well. He's out injured now, so another injury for them.
Yeah. Just to stay on topic of the kind of the games that happened. The next game, obviously, on the Friday was Southampton and Newcastle, and we did discuss this when we talked about
briefly,
Man United and Everton. So I think, you know, it's not worth going into as much detail as Brighton and Burnley. But for me, for Newcastle, masters of their own downfall a little bit in that game. They were really poor. Steve Bruce looked absolutely furious because we've learned under Southampton that they're a really a really good pressing team. You don't give them the room. You don't give them the chance to take the extra touch. You don't give them the time and the ball. And that was the kind of thing that Steve Bruce was telling them, and they were still doing it time and time again. You don't take nothing away from Che Adams' finish. Fantastic, really good. Impressed by him.
What a great player he's been.
Same from Armstrong as well. I think he's really underrated. He does a lot for that team.
I think he's a great player as well, Stuart Armstrong. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about.
They were so good in that game. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I watched it from the first minute to the last minute, and honestly, if Southampton had won 6-0, it wouldn't have been a harsh result on Newcastle. They were to a man. They were again. It was the same against Everton. To a man, they were absolutely fantastic.
And an assist from Theo Walcott, so a good return still from him since he came back.
Yeah, he should have scored. He could have added to it. Theo showed why he's a good player, but not why he's a great player.
He linked up really well with Adams, and I think, like we said, the talismanic Danny Ings. I don't think, I think Southampton showed that they're not all about Danny Ings.
They're not, though. They're not. You look at the way they press. Obviously, if Danny Ings was out for a long period, yes, they would miss him. There's no doubt about that. But you talk about Brighton and not being able to cope with Connolly and
Mope
were out. Then it's then you see then they would struggle. The only thing for Southampton is they're all playing with confidence at the moment, and if they did start to struggle, that's when you'd see them missing Danny Ings, because you need somebody to put the ball in the back of the net when you're not playing well. And at the moment, they all feel like they can do anything, because they're playing so well, and quite rightly so. Football is a confidence game, so you can lose confidence just as quick as you can gain it, and you can gain confidence just as quick as you lose it.
Spot on.
There's an old saying, and I think this really does. This is very true. That losing a football match can become a habit, but also losing football matches can become a habit, but also winning football matches can become a habit. So that's what we're saying about Southampton. They'll have the bumps, and they won't finish in the top 6 because of sides that are too strong. But definitely, if Southampton could finish in the top 10, then that's a great season.
I think they'd be in the Europa League places. I think.
No, I think there's a few teams on the day. Well, they can beat anybody, but there's a few teams that are a bit too strong. But I definitely can see them finishing top 10, top 8.
They definitely won't get relegated.
No, not for me. Not for me.
I think just quickly, I want to just make another point before moving on to Newcastle, and then moving on then to obviously Saturday's games. Settle the argument. We're going to finish it right here and right now, and then maybe we'll look at it again. Best set piece taker in the Premier League is
James Ward-Prowse.
Will?
Gosh, that's a hard one. Best set piece taker.
Corners, free kicks, penalties.
Well, I think David Luiz has scored some great free kicks before.
Dear me.
I mean, I'm not keen on David Luiz as a defender, but his free kicks he's scored have been brilliant. And also, Trent is good at free kicks as well, I think, so.
For me, I think it's a difficult decision between Trent and Ward-Prowse, but I think Ward-Prowse does win it for me.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse for me.
How on earth can you say David Luiz, Will?
Well, because I remember I've
Luiz
seen a good few
no,
free kicks from him.
No, to be fair to Will, he's a very good. He is a good set piece taker. So
he's a good free kick taker, but I wouldn't put him on a corner.
I saw him take a good free kick for Chelsea. I saw him take a good free kick for PSG. I saw him again when he came back to Chelsea.
I'm not doubting his quality. I'm just saying there are quite a few good players from that kind of range in the Premier League.
And obviously the Tissier, I've seen his goal from the free kick.
Yeah. No, we're on about in the Premier League right now. So I think that.
Well, that'd be Trent then for me.
I think there are a few. Trent's very good. Mount seems really good. Ziyech, but for me,
Mount's overrated. He's alright.
Mount is overrated, but I do think he's got a good free kick on him.
He's still a good player. I like him.
He's a good player. No, I'm not saying he's not a good player, but I just think he's a bit too overrated.
No, I completely agree that he's overrated.
I'm not saying he's no good. I think he could become a world class player.
I do think he's class, but not as class as people make out.
No.
People make out that he's like the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh no, I wouldn't go that far.
To just get back on topic.
Sorry, apologies.
We talked about Newcastle in the build up to the United game, and we gave Newcastle as a team, the fans, and also Steve Bruce quite a dressing down. It's got to be frustrating for Steve Bruce to have the quality he has.
And sorry.
He's been afforded a lot more than the last few Newcastle managers, even Benitez, I think.
But in terms of transfers, yes, but everybody goes on about Newcastle, but even though the Newcastle have got a better side than they've had for a while, they are still a mid-table outfit.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what people expect, because they are inconsistent, but that's all the traits of a mid-table outfit. You win some, you draw some, and you lose some. I don't know if you agree, but
similarly to a lot of other teams, they haven't got the depth to be a higher team.
No.
Exactly. Their first 11 is good enough to beat anybody on its day. Not that it, but again, it's the same with Southampton. Again, Southampton will, on the day, have got the players, you could argue, to challenge for a European spot, but they haven't got the squad to challenge over the course of a season to challenge for the European spot. For me, and that's just my my humble
the final thing I want to say, and this is different to saying where Newcastle ending up, whatever. I worry about Steve Bruce, and I think it's really unfair. Because like you said about inconsistency and Newcastle being a mid-table team, I think so much is expected out of Steve Bruce because of the backing he's been given and of the fact that he managed Sunderland and different things like that I think he will lose his job soon if they don't get more consistency. But I think it would be I think it would be really unfair. I just want to put that out there as well.
There's no doubt that Newcastle are a club that should be challenging for a European place. As a club, they are a massive club, Newcastle United. But they've just not got the team and the money and the resources to do that. So,
No.
and I get that fans are frustrated, and of course with the ownership, and I think everybody just wants a line drawn under it because that's got to affect
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
manager.
Mike Ashley is
The
terrible.
manager. No, but even if Ashley stays, they just need it clearing up. They need to know what the future is because that affects the players, the manager, everybody at the club, the potential players and staff they might want to bring in. You know, if they're not sure about the future. You know, can you imagine being in Steve Bruce's position now? He comes to January and he says to potential targets, yeah, I really want you to come to Newcastle. And they go, great, yeah, I'd love to come to Newcastle. But you might not be the manager in 6 months' time because the ownership might change. So, you know, players want to play for the club, but also the manager. So Newcastle have got a problem in that regard because nobody knows what's happening long term.
But do you think some of those players don't want to play for him because of his style of football? Do you think?
No, I don't think that at all. I think Newcastle do play for the manager, and you've seen the way they defend and the way they are. They have to get results, otherwise there'd be a relegation battle if they didn't play for the manager.
George,
but,
what's your view on that?
There have been games where he's played a negative style of play, and I think you look at those players: Fraser, Sir Maximin, Wilson,
Callum Wilson,
Lewis,
yeah.
You know, they are good enough to attack.
But they're held back, aren't they, because of the style?
I also think that in terms of a squad and in terms of a job in general, this is the best job Steve Bruce has had.
It's the best players he's had at his disposal, yeah. And Newcastle, I don't care what people say, Newcastle is a big job. To be manager of Newcastle United is one of the biggest jobs in Europe, you know.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Everybody remembers the good Newcastle teams, the Keegan years, the Bobby Robson years, the Pardew year when they got.
No, but they are a massive club. They are.
No, they are.
It's like managing Leeds. They are.
They are because of what's come before. And I think that's the problem, and that's something I've said about numerous other teams that are in transition at the minute. Not saying Newcastle are, but I mean there are teams that are in transition, they're in mid-table and shouldn't be. You know, Newcastle as a club, as a status, should be up there, top 6, top 4. But you know, the fact of the matter is that's not the squad they've got. That's not the tactics they play, and that's not the manager they've got either. However, I do think they should stick with him, because I do think if he gets more back in as he has done, you know, 40 million on Joe Linton, loads of money on Lewis and Wilson, you know, I think that he will do it. I think he will get them to that point if they persevere, but his tactics are negative, and I think some of the players will know that. And with that, unless anybody else has got anything to add, that's all I've got to say.
I mean, I just think the bigger problem is the state of the club and the fact that nobody knows what actually, you know, Newcastle's long-term future is in terms of ownership and in terms of, you know, I think that's got to hold you back, no matter what manager you have in
I think
place.
It's an inconsistent message as well from the playing staff and the coaching staff that sometimes Mike Ashley is constantly going on about in the press how much he wants to sell Newcastle, and then other times he's giving him the money to buy like Joe Linton for 40 million, and he's at all the games and doing this and that. Like, that's one of the things about Mike Ashley. Is I think sometimes he loves Newcastle, and other times he just wants to get rid of it like it's an albatross around his neck. That's one of the things I don't understand about him. You know, that is difficult to go more into it because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, who knows? It's interesting, isn't it?
that kind of inconsistent message from up above is obviously going to have a knock-on effect. The first game on Saturday we covered, which was Everton versus Manchester United. We all thought that it was going to be another disappointing day for Solskjaer and his Red Devils, but they came out on top. To talk about, we had a massive conversation about Ole and different things like that. But one thing we didn't do is talk about the game really. So I'm looking forward to talking about the game, because my opinion on it was another one where a team that could have attacked United and got something out of it didn't do the right things they needed to do tactically, and United took advantage of that. In my opinion, I think Everton setting up with James on the wing instead of in the hole.
That was a bit strange, yeah.
It did make a difference once they put James in the hole and they really went for it. I just don't understand why they didn't do that to start off with, but I'm not paid to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Well, have you got anything about the game?
Well, yeah, because I thought as soon as Bernard scored, I thought that'd be, well, we're toast. But no, it was really surprising. I thought Everton would carry much more threat. James playing on the wings, that to me is a strange decision, because he always plays, or mainly plays, as a number 10. So that to me is a very weird decision by Ancelotti. I don't know if you'd agree, lads.
Well, he's not quick, is he? So he's not really a winger.
I also want to say that I do think United deserve the win just quickly. But what I'm saying is I think Everton could have done more.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? And you would have thought that Everton, Bernard, apart from that goal, I thought he was pretty terrible apart from that goal. And in fact, did you see him bursting into? It looks like he was going to burst into tears. Did you see that, guys?
I didn't see that actually.
It was when he.
No.
I think he missed a shot or something, and he looked like he was literally going to have a meltdown and burst into tears.
I think as well the service for Calvert-Lewin was awful. Not that I know.
There were just loads of long straight balls.
His game is to latch on those kinds of passes, but mixing it up is something that Everton have been good at. I feel like they have played the fast, fluid football along the floor, but they have also been able to lump it long. Whereas I feel like it was only one tactic. Maybe to expose Maguire and Lindelof. Excuse me.
If you're gonna do that, though, you have to have midfield runners that can run on for the knockdown.
Yeah, and I did think that Maguire, was pretty comfortable in the air. I think you do that against somebody like Harry Maguire, who is one of the better aerial presences in the league, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he's definitely big and strong and very good in the air.
Despite whatever else I think about him, I do think he's good aerially.
He is, he's one of the best aerially.
It was just a strange move for me for Ancelotti. Obviously, we've seen Everton. They've lost 3 on the bounce now, and against Newcastle they really weren't at it. Against United they had moments, but again they weren't really at it. And I think that was more to do with tactically.
For me, it's also
Southampton would. Sorry, just to finish. Southampton were just fantastic. So I think that there are it's 3 games where it's 3 different kind of scenarios for Ancelotti, where it's like there wasn't much they could have done about the Southampton game, in my opinion. Luca Digne really let the team down. A naughty challenge against Newcastle.
That was not great at all.
Against Newcastle, I think you could tell there was a little bit of a knock-on effect from the Southampton game. Again, not really too much you can do about that. But United was the perfect opportunity for Everton to get back to winning ways.
Sorry, I think no, I did say that right, didn't I? Yeah, it was the perfect opportunity for Everton, in my opinion, and Ancelotti just didn't seem to take it. Allowed United's players a lot of time on the ball, particularly, United's danger man for me, the best player in that team.
Bruno Fernandes.
Currently is Rashford. I think Fernandes has been poor, but he had a great game.
Well,
For me
he
in the season.
assisted and scored 2 goals. So.
Yeah, but what I mean is
Yeah,
in the
in that
season.
game, but he means over the season.
In the season as a whole, I think you can tell that he's really, not that he's like lost his spark or anything. I still think he's quality, but I just think he's definitely struggled against teams. So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Personally, sorry, Will, just to finish off what I was saying.
No, that's all right.
Personally, without going too much into Ole, I don't know how long this kind of pressure relief on him is going to last. Personally, I think there will be a point at the end of I don't think he will leave. I think he should do if they continue to play not too good. But
he won't have the balls to leave.
No, I don't. No, what I mean is because he's a legendary player, I think that does carry a lot of weight, especially when it's United and the fans have been very, very unhappy with the way managers have been treated.
Yes.
In my opinion, David Moyes needed more time.
No, he was a fool. Ferguson was a fool thinking that he was the right one.
Football is an opinions game, Will. Just listen a minute.
Sorry.
In my opinion, Moyes didn't get enough time. Van Gaal didn't get enough time, and Mourinho did the right things, but at the end of the day, his attitude and the way that he approaches things was always going to make it lose him the job. But really, again, the ideas he had for the team weren't that bad. And maybe if it wasn't for him sort of falling out of love with the United project, I think he should have stayed as well. And for Ole, I think Ben referred to it as the manager bounce or something like that. I've never heard of it called that before. I disagreed, and I said that, like, obviously they did play some slick football, and even after lockdown they did, but not, a hell of a lot of that team, Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka, Fernandes, Maguire, a lot of them really haven't played very well since the season have started. And like I said, I just think that they obviously, I think Everton were kind
of
a little bit...
At the end of the day, though, it will always be the manager eventually that gets the blame for that.
Yeah, and I heard it said on Talk Sport, and this is something I agree with. I think one of the things that probably would cost Ollie his job if it carried on that they were in poor form, is that he doesn't have the CV to back up that he's a strong enough manager to turn it around. And I agree with that. And that's not to a detriment to Ollie. It's to a detriment to the fact that he's a young manager that hasn't had that many chances in big leagues. He came to Cardiff and they were a decent team, but obviously they got relegated. He went back to Mulder and did well, and then obviously came to United as a club legend, and we'll see what happens with that. Everton, I think, will be okay. I think they'll return to winning ways, very quickly. We'll get to our predictions, of course, we'll get to our predictions next week, and because the international breaks are extended, aren't they? They go across 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The Premier League returns next weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't return. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's next weekend, so it's not this weekend. It's next weekend.
Yeah, so that's only one weekend that's been taken out.
Oh, I must have got. What I meant is obviously there's more games to play, so that does, because the last international break lasted ages. It seemed like.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
to
sorry.
move on from that. Sorry, Will. You've been trying to speak for ages, and I was trying to finish my point off. You carry on.
No, that's all. I've got 2 points to come across. I think one thing I wasn't happy with, Everton needed to calm down in their tackling a little bit. I thought they were getting a little bit too carried away at times.
No.
And they're an Ancelotti team, Will. That's what Ancelotti's always been like.
It's
Absolutely not.
Rodriguez. He's Colombian. He's poisoned the team.
I love tackling. Tackling's my game, and yeah, I love it. If you gave me a choice of scoring a great goal or doing a match-saving tackle,
They could have
definitely
injured
take
players,
the
though, Sam. They went far too over the top,
no,
far too
brilliant.
aggressively.
I love the blood and thunder. Even but no, I better not say that because I'll cause problems. But you know, even the missed time tackle, I just love a good challenge.
Yeah, but Sam, I'm sorry, for me, they went far too over the top, far too aggressive. They're like the
Well,
At the
Colombian
end of the
national
day,
team.
at the end of the
Do
day,
you
Will,
watch rugby? Do you watch rugby?
No, I don't
Well,
like
what
rugby.
do you think about the tackles they can commit in rugby? I know it's part of the game, but if you don't like tackling, what do you think of the tackling that's allowed in rugby?
Well, rugby's a different kettle of fish, so...
Yeah, but
but
how many footballers do you see that get a slight touch on them and roll around? And people don't tackle properly anymore. So when tackles start flying in, I love it. It's just passion.
Yes, but
I
Sam...
agree. Hang on, because
Sorry.
you know, as long as it stays within the laws of the game, Will, there's no problem.
Yeah, but
And
they
even
could
if
have
it
injured a
doesn't-
few players with
Even
their
if it
tackling.
doesn't stay in the laws of the game, you know, I still love to see a few mistimed challenges.
Yeah, I don't mind yellow cards, but the kind of red card stuff, like the Digne challenge, I think was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. To blatantly chase a player down and then stick your studs in the back of his leg. Stick your studs in his leg was stupid. I agree with Sam. I enjoy a good tackle because you can't really do that much in football anymore in terms of being physical. So moving on from that, what was your other point?
And also, it's weird. It's weird with United because they're not really that that convincing, you know. So time will tell, obviously. But
I said that
Oh, sorry.
to my dad. No, to my dad.
Okay.
He
Because
said you don't look very happy, and I said, yeah, it's because we're not very good.
It's because there's only so often that you will get away with a bad performance, and United have done it a lot recently, especially this season.
especially against Brighton, they really got away with
and
that one.
I think there will come a time where the luck runs out. That's my personal opinion.
No, I agree with you. I especially, I can't trust Pogba. I mean, he needs to pack his bags and go on the plane to France, I think. Good riddance.
Well, the only thing that needs saying about Pogba, and I think I said it on Saturday, but I'll say it again just for the sake of argument, that if you want a big money move, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you agree with the tactics, like the players, like the manager, you be a man, you play for the team, you do the best you can, and then you get the move you want.
He's not going to go to Real Madrid on his current performance.
No. And
Pogba's not that intelligent, is he?
When I make that point, the one example that stands out for me is Berahino, who was playing incredibly and got into the England side and then kicked up a fuss about wanting to leave West Brom. And now look where he is at the back.
Berahino,
playing out the back half of Belgium. So,
and he had that incident at Stoke.
How's he doing in Belgium?
I don't know. I've not heard much about him, so I imagine he can't be doing too well. But yeah, for Pogba, I think he's got everything. He can shoot, he can pass. Despite what Will says, I think he is an incredibly footballingly intelligent player. One of the most intelligent with the cute little flicks and the passes.
But it's between the ears with him, and I don't mean in terms of he hasn't got a footballing brain. He has, but I just mean in terms of in his head he's a bit too arrogant and doesn't...
No, I agree. I think he spends too much time thinking about what his next hairstyle is going to be rather than what's actually
playing
good for his
FIFA.
career.
Yeah.
But then again, he's probably a billionaire. So what do we know? At the end of the day, is he going to look back at his career and think, "Oh, I should have done better here"? Because
I would.
Yeah,
I would, because while you made all that money, you only get one career, and you want to make the best of it. Particularly when you've got the talent like he has.
Yeah,
he should be. We should be talking about. We should be talking about him in the. Let me give you an example.
Ballon d'Or.
No, well, yeah, Ballon d'Or. Yeah, he should be up for the Ballon d'Or. I'm not saying he should win it every year, but he should have won it by now with his talent.
I agree. The one thing that I would say is, based on what we know about his character, I really don't think he gives two shits.
Appalling attitude.
Yeah, and I also think that he's a multi-billionaire, so I really don't think he gives it. And also, especially you, Sam, you're the nicest guy ever. Of course you're going to care. If you got the chance to play football, you'd play every game like it was your last one.
Yeah, but that's not because I'm a nice guy. That's because I'm extremely competitive as well.
Not just that, but
you've seen it firsthand, that competitiveness burned inside. I get into arguments with the ref. I'm really aggressive on the.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. The warning signs were there for Pogba really at 18, especially in the Ferguson team, to turn around and say I need more game time, blah blah blah. I want to play more. It's not like a Sancho situation where he wasn't getting a look in. He played 3 times and he was 17, 18? I'd be loving that.
Good. Good on for Ferguson for not tolerating any nonsense from him and kicking him out.
He believed his own hype. So, and sometimes that can be good, like Ronaldo. And other times it can be bad, like obviously the man himself, Pogba. Yeah. With that being said, it's hard to talk about somebody that we don't know. He might care about it deeply.
Oh, I doubt it. Sorry.
So this is the one. This is the one I'm kind of excited to talk about, and that's obviously the 3:00 game against Palace and Leeds. It's a really interesting one. I think me and Will did touch on it in the last podcast that it was a hard one to call.
We thought it was going to be a very high goal-scoring game, I thought,
Yeah, and it certainly was. And I think that this was the first surprise of the, obviously other than United winning.
Call 4-1 high scoring?
No.
Well, it's not exactly low scoring.
What I'm saying is there's 5 goals in one game, but I also think it was incredibly one-sided for what we expected.
Yes, that's what I meant. To me, high goal scoring if both teams score loads.
Get your diaries out, ladies and gentlemen. Will actually agrees with something.
If you don't score more than 6 in a game, it's not high scoring. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, fair enough.
conversation over. I'm taking the piss, Will. If you score 3 goals in a game, that's a high-scoring game for me. It's like you win
No.
3. If you win 3-0, that's a high-scoring game because
No,
like there's
no,
a clear,
no. I
there's
definitely
a
don't
clear,
agree with
clear
that.
winner.
4
Okay, so
4-0, 4-0. That's a high scoring game, yeah.
But what difference does 1 goal make?
Well, because 4-1, I wouldn't count that as a high scoring game because if one team just won 4-0.
Well, you've just said you count 4-0 as a high scoring game, yeah?
Yes.
But if it's 4-1, there's been 5 goals instead of 4 that you would have had in your 4-0.
Exactly. Right, we're moving on from that because
Okay.
been mugged
So
off.
you've just said a 4-0 victory is a high scoring game. But
Yes.
4-1, you've got 5 goals in that game instead of 4.
Well, because I just tend to think if both teams score loads, for me that's a high scoring game. But if one team
But
scores 4,
you've just said 4-0's a high scoring game where one team scores 4. But if both teams contribute 5 goals, then in a match, then that's got to be even higher scoring than your 4-0. No?
high
no,
scoring. Yeah,
it is
yeah,
true.
you're right.
Just to move on from
You
that because
baffle me.
Will's been
You
purely
baffle me.
mugged off there. Will's
You
been
baffle me.
You've destroyed me, Sam.
yeah. Will's been mugged off there, so we'll leave Will to lick his wounds a little bit. And I was actually really happy because I think the points that me and Will made in the podcast about Palace's forward line and things like that, were really proven.
Yeah.
We talked about Eze.
Talking about bottom half teams, they've got just going back to what we were saying about bottom half teams and who has good forward line. Palace, you'd have to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Palace, I think Palace, to a man, have the best forward line out of the bottom half.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But in saying that, Eze is good enough. Batshuayi is good enough. Zaha's good enough. Ayew's good enough. Townsend good enough. Slup can do a job. That's 6 forward players. That all, so it could be for Palace. It's a numbers game as well, which is true. To make the point.
Yeah, rather than relying on one player.
To reinforce the point, we saw Eberechi Eze score his first goal. Ayew scored as well.
Great players.
And obviously, in terms of Leeds and their forward line, we did see another goal from Bamford, but it was just a consolation. And he did have one choked off as well.
How can you? This is something. Sorry, just while you bring up the Bamford goal. How can you be offside for pointing where you want the ball when you can't even score with your finger anyway?
No, but I guess
that's what I don't get. I'm sorry, but you can't score. It should only be offside if a part of your body you could score with. That can be your chest, that can be your back, any part that isn't your arm or your hand. Then yes, it's offside if it's in an offside position. But you cannot score with your finger anyway.
Yeah, if it was like it bounced off his hand, then fair enough. But it's not offside because there's no way. The letter of the law, as they read it out a couple of weeks ago, was that it's any part of your body that's involved in the play.
Well, that's shit.
How is him pointing his finger to where he wants the ball to be active in the play? Because it influences
it's absolute madness.
The only thing I can think is maybe him pointing and being in that offside position when he points influences the play. But even then, that's nitpicking.
No, it doesn't.
How
can it interfere the play?
No. I'm not saying.
I'm just saying when you have to go So when you're watching that live, you didn't know. Nobody knows that is offside when you're watching it live. It's impossible to tell. So how can that have influenced the play? Because it's not like the other players, the opposition, stopped.
No,
Because they
what
went,
I'm saying
oh
is,
yeah, he's got his finger out.
what I'm saying is, if he is, that's the thing. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just trying to figure out a reason why it could be classed as offside. And I am clutching at straws at saying, oh well, if he's in an offside position and he's pointed to where the ball's going, then he's, I don't know, he's had a hand in putting that ball in an offside position. But even then, that's clutching at straws. Like I said, it is a goal. It's not an offside. It's that hand doesn't physically change his body shape. It doesn't stop him for, it doesn't hit his hand. He doesn't use his arm to get the ball. He doesn't foul anybody. He doesn't do anything wrong. So it should have been a goal, and it would have changed the face of the game, in my opinion.
I just don't know. Are they going to start saying that you're, I don't know, that your aura that's around your body, because apparently everybody has an aura. So if your shadow is in an offside position from the sun, then you're in an offside position. That's where it's heading. And it absolutely infuriates me, because 99% of your body, if it's in an offside position, you can score with 99% of your body in football. But a finger, you can't.
What's the next thing? If he put it in with, if it brushed his knob, but he had a hard on, and his hard on was in an offside position, would you be saying, oh yeah, that's offside because he's got a big massive knob? Like that's the way he's going. It is quite stupid, but that's the thing. I felt like the only thing that has been consistent this season is the offside rule, because I think the handball thing is is absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, it could have changed the face of the game. I don't want to spend too much time on refereeing, and I don't think
could spend all day.
I don't think any of us do, because we've had a lot of conversations about refereeing.
I could sit here and not slaughter the refs because they do the best, but I just it's just awful.
Our opinions is kind of, we like VAR, but we don't like the people. I think the people making the decisions.
No, well, it's still a human error. It's not really them, Joe. They've been instructed. You're not telling me that a referee, which they are referees and fourth officials that go upstairs and do the VAR, they know that's not offside, but they've been instructed that if he points his arm and points his finger, then it's offside.
No.
In a normal game, they wouldn't give it. That's just what they've been instructed to
I agree with that, but then what I don't understand is that contradicts completely what they came out and said the rule was. Which is what I think is one of the problems. Which is what I think one of the, because it said a part of your body that's active in the phase of play.
Well, apparently his finger was active because he pointed down.
But the ball is never going to come anywhere near that part of his body. He points to where he wants the ball. The ball goes to where he wants it. That's that. So it's, there's no conversation in our opinion, and I'm not gonna give because you're right. I don't think it is the VARs. I think I heard somewhere that there are a lot of referees that are coming in after games and saying, or have been caught saying that, like, if it wasn't for the fact that the job depends on the referee ratings, that they wouldn't have given certain fouls, because they are, it is ludicrous with the new rules. So I really don't want to give any more airtime or any more thought to such a thing that is changing the game that we all know.
What's Will's opinion on it?
Well, that seems pretty crazy to me. The fact that because you don't play football with your finger, so that just seems just crazy. To be honest, lads, I find it absolutely hilarious. I don't know about you.
I don't. I
I
find
don't,
it
because I think it
infuriating.
ruins the game.
I was nearly rolling on the floor because it was so funny.
I think it really ruins the game, and I think that it will cost teams points.
Absolutely, but also, and Sam has said this before, why in VAR do they view things in slow motion? Football is not played
Yeah.
slowly.
No, I agree. I agree that they should do it in slow motion at a couple of angles, but they should have to watch it in quick motion as well.
In normal motion, yeah.
Because football's not playing in slow motion.
No,
No,
I see your point. But like I said, I think it is something we could talk about all day. Ultimately, it's not going to change it.
robots could do a better job maybe than some of these officials.
Yeah, we have said that, but I think that would make football fans even more uncomfortable with VAR. In my opinion, I think it's something that if they were to do that, they'd have to do it really gradually.
That'd be
Because
cool, robots. That would.
No, yeah, but that's what you think. I think that the average Joe, Mr. 45-year-old self-employed painter decorator who loves a pint and likes to watch his team, would rather their fate was, decided by a human than by some robot that's just been programmed and doesn't care about the game or anything.
Oh, you're right.
I don't know what Sam thinks.
Do you think the referees should be a robot, Will?
No, although that would be very interesting. But, well, I was partly joking, but also it would actually be quite cool, I think.
Also, if you put robots in, robots are supposed to be what? A robot would be almost 100% accurate because they would be told exactly what the rule is and they would follow that. So even if you thought it was bullshit, even if you thought decisions were bullshit, they would follow exactly what the written law is.
Yes.
So you know that whether or not you agree with the decision, they're making the right one based on the letter of the law.
Yes.
Does that make sense? But
yes, it does.
For me as a human being and a football fan, you put a robot in the VAR room. There doesn't need to be a referee on the pitch.
Well, you gotta have a referee on the pitch of some sort.
No, but what would be the point if every decision from that point from VAR would be correct? Because it would be from the letter of the law. Every decision would be correct. So there would be no point to have a referee.
Well, then robots only do what they're instructed to do. So if, for instance, if they're instructed that your finger's offside when you point, then they'd still get it wrong, wouldn't they?
No, but they
because
would,
again, yeah, they are because they're instructed by human beings.
Because they would to you. But if that's written down as part of the letter of the law of offside or handball or whatever, then it's not their fault. And I think that's the point. I don't think in some instances it is VAR's fault, the video assistant referee in the room or the referee on the pitch. I think it's the global body is it's unrealistic expectations of what a foul is and isn't. And I think half of that governing body will probably have never played a game of professional football in their life. You go to a professional football match, or you play football like you have, Sam. The speed that the game is played, you can't replicate in your head. It's very much in the moment.
Yes.
I've been to football games, in the past, and I'm always in awe of how quick the ball moves, always. So if I'm somebody that's used to seeing that on the telly in front of me, then the referees have got to be the same. And I think that's why they do slow it down. I think
That's
I think
right.
sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's not against slowing it down. I think in certain situations
No. What
they need
I'm
to.
saying is though is that sometimes slowing it down works at the detriment. I think it takes away the scientific element, right? If you say, oh yeah, you're out to injure a player here, but you can see that there are two players, you know, like say for example you elbow somebody, but you're not looking at the man, you're looking at the ball. Is it still a red card?
I suppose if it's reckless and out of control, then
Yeah, but if you're a
probably.
player, and you don't know that the other player that you just fouled is there, if you've just used an elbow for leverage and you've just twatted some bloke in the face, but you didn't know he was there, is
Yeah,
that a
that's
foul?
different. No, it's a foul, but it's not a sending off.
Well, I think and we've seen it where you can see clearly in the replay that like players are trying to pull out of challenges, you know, knowing that it's going to be a bad tackle, but still get sent off because it's reckless. But like if you don't
I think
even see them,
it's very difficult because you don't know if a player's seen the other fella or not. You know, you don't know that, do you?
that's what I mean about it being sort of silly to give light to the VAR situation and referees. It is very, very prevalent in the game, more than anything at the minute. But I think there were so many good things to focus on in terms of the Palace performance. Eze's goal, Ayew chipping in with a goal, Zaha was good again. You know, that it just gets lost in stupidity, and that's one of the problems with the Premier League this season. Is it's always about what went wrong, not about what a team did right. And with that, I would like to say that Palace did very well. Again, we talked about Leeds, and we said that the way they play will win them games and lose them games, and again we were proved right.
Yes.
You know, I didn't think they were at it at all. And yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to move on to the next match.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
So to move on to the 5:30 kickoff, this was one that I distinctly remember my prediction. Will, you said either 3 or 4-0, but I said 2-1, which is Chelsea, Sheffield United.
Another game that Will doesn't think was high scoring.
I worried about Chelsea against the funnily enough, the steel and thunder from the men from the steel city of Sheffield.
Nice. I like that.
They did. I know that's quite good, that wasn't it? They did take the lead. A smart little back heel flick from David McGoldrick after 9 minutes, but Chelsea seem to be making some really under the radar progress, I think.
Positive progress, I would say, yeah.
Back in the title race, do you reckon, with the way that's going?
I think because the majority of their signings are bedding in now, I think they can.
I think the only one of the new signings that there are question marks about are Havertz, but I only think that there are question marks about him because Lampard doesn't play him where he should do. Well, as I said the other week,
I don't think Werner's done that great, to be honest.
Werner's done amazing.
No, I think Ziyech has been the best out of all of them, but he's not played that much.
I agree. I like Ziyech, but I actually think the most important for the side is the two defenders, and which are
Thiago Silva and
Chilwell. Yeah. But there's no denying that Ziyech is class. Ben said that Chelsea fans likened Ziyech's impact to Bruno Fernandes. I wouldn't go that far because I think
he doesn't seem to be vocal like Fernandes, like a leader.
Yeah, it basically was. You know, you look at Fernandes coming in, and after lockdown, it was the Fernandes show, pretty much. Everything United did that was positive came through him, and if they didn't have him, they would be in a pretty dire situation. Whereas, you know, Werner is quality. Thiago Silva had stability at the back. Chilwell can defend and attack.
Chilwell's great.
Mendy, I think, is a fantastic acquisition.
Oh, yeah,
He
much
looked-
calmer than Kepa.
Yeah, and I think I've seen him play from like the sort of behind the goal angle, if you know what I mean, like in the goal angle,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
always anticipating the shot, so he's always ready for something to happen, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the signs are good. The signs are good for Chelsea. I'm not gonna lie. As a Chelsea fan, you know that I've always been the one to shoot down that, oh yeah, they're gonna win the title, or oh, you know, that's a good result, or oh, they such and such played well, because I refuse to believe that we're there out of
You're not there, and in
No,
a
I mean
normal
in terms of
season, you
in terms
wouldn't
of
be. But I do feel you've got a chance.
what I mean is in terms of even the progress we're making. I would even refuse to say, well, you know, we're making progress. But I mean, you look at the complete difference. You know, Reece James. I think Reece James getting into the England side has really helped his confidence. He seems his delivery. We talked about set plays earlier. His crossing, his delivery is perfect. Similarly with Chilwell, I think Zuma works incredibly well with Thiago Silva, and that's obviously showcased by the fact that Zuma got back into the England, France setup. Kovacic coming back in played incredibly well. So glad to see him back. One of our most consistent performers last season.
Yeah. The year last year.
But I think that's due to a few things. You know, Mount's done well. Havertz was bought for 89 million. They're not exactly going to not play him, are they?
No.
And Jorginho, when he's come in, has played really well.
Yeah, he's been out of the team, hasn't he, the past few matches? So it's been a weird one.
Yeah, so I think it's really, really interesting to see the Chelsea team come together, and it is exciting, but it's baby steps yet.
Didn't I say that in my prediction once or... Oh, sorry, Sam.
Sorry, I was just going to say...
No, you go first, Sam. You go first.
In a normal season, I wouldn't say they were in for the title, but I think this year they could be.
Oh, who knows? What I was going to say was, do you remember when I predicted Chelsea to win the title at the start of the season? Didn't I say once all the signings bed in that they could be there, and they've bed in and they're doing well? So I still am going to go with them to win the title, but that's just my view.
Okay, I respect your opinion. Sheffield United were interested as well. I think, like I said, with the little, you know, the clever little wordplay. I think they started with
they're missing Dean Henderson. I tell you that.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
I don't dislike Ramsdale though.
Oh no, Ramsdale's a great goalkeeper. He made some good saves for Bournemouth.
I think he's overrated. I think he was the best player at Bournemouth last year, but I do think he's overrated. But then again, it is harsh because he's never going to be a Dean Henderson, is he? So.
No, I think that's the problem. Is that when you know, I agree with the suggestion that Ramsdale was the best player for Bournemouth last season. I think he really was. I think
he made some great saves.
Deserved the Premier League move, and I'm glad that he got it.
Absolutely.
And I also think that Aaron Ramsdale, despite looking a bit shaky, hasn't started badly for Sheffield.
No.
I think that the injuries they've had in defence and
a lot of injuries,
and suspensions and stuff. You know, Noah O'Connell for I think the rest of the season. Egan is in and out with disciplinaries and injuries and what have you. And Basham is getting older now. He can't really do it on his own. And also, they've got Jagielka on the bench, but Jagielka is like 38. So
no way, Phil Jagielka is 38.
He's something like that, isn't he? He might be a little bit younger than that, but not by much.
Oh, well, yeah, he's definitely not a young player anymore.
I mean, I rate Phil Jagielka as highly as I do Gary Cahill.
He's had a great career, hasn't he?
And I think he was really, really underrated.
38, you're correct. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, Sorry to. I'm glad that my instinct was right. I think we've talked a little bit on this podcast about the lack of a striking force. You look at McGoldrick, Mousset, Billy Sharp, Ollie McBurney. Fair enough to McGoldrick and Sharp. They're older now. They probably can't do it consistently in this league. McBurney, I think, is bang average. Mousset, I think, does well, but only in bits and bobs. And Oliver Burke is a really strange signing for me, but I'm glad he got the Premier League chance, and we'll see how he does. Have they got enough to stay up? Have they got a good enough manager? Yes and yes. Will they stay up? I hope so. Like I said, I think they do have that quality, so I do think they will. But, I did say we weren't going to talk too much about that. I'm just going to say, because I imagine it's something Will bring up. Because they've obviously only got, 1 point.
Well, yeah, they're in 20th
weeks.
now, so it's not looking good for them.
I don't know. I know Sam agrees with me in terms of the quality of Sheffield United.
But they've only lost apart from the Chelsea game. They've only lost by a goal in every game or whatever, so they could easily turn that around and start getting a classic Sheffield United and get that classic Sheffield United 1-0 wins going again.
I think also, just to back Sam up a little bit, I think it's impossible to follow up on the amazing season they had, considering that they've not really
Yeah,
and they've not added like for like improvements, in my opinion, into the team. They've just added that depth which he really needed. So we'll see what happens as the season unfolds and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, good win for Chelsea. Starting to see what Frank wants to do, and good on him, because he's always taken a lot of flack. Some of the things he says are really stupid. Some of the things he says are not far away from the truth. And I'm ready to get into the next game if you guys are.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I just want to start off by saying I really rate Ademola Lookman, but his penalty, to do that,
the worst penalty.
To do that takes some absolute bollocks, and I applaud him for that. But it has to be the worst penalty I will ever see in my life.
Oh, excuse me.
You're an animal.
Apologies.
Yeah, it has to be the worst. It has to be the worst penalty I will ever see in my life. That being said, just quickly to talk about Fulham. Obviously, West Ham won, but I do think that
Saeed Ben was a great signing.
Yeah, I do think Ademola Lookman has been a real driving force on some much more positive performances from Fulham.
He's been a weird player, hasn't he?
Yeah, because I feel like he obviously there was a lot going on when he moved to Leipzig. It was when Sancho was bursting onto the scene. I think he probably felt like he did the right thing for his career. Looking at what Sancho did, and Reece Oxford did the same, and Reece Nelson, and players like Nat Phillips. Even Ashley Young now at Inter Milan. The English players moving abroad is a better thing. Steffi Mavididi at Montpellier in France, Jonathan Panzo at Dijon in France. It's happening much more often. Angel Gomez scored a 45-yarder.
Your favourite player, Will, you like him?
The other week in the Portuguese league.
I think if he does... Sorry, just before we go, if he does well, that he could, maybe United could bring him back, maybe.
I think it'd take a lot for a player to go back to United after being spat out.
Well, look at Pogba. He came back.
Yeah, but Pogba proved he was a world-class player.
That is true.
Anyway,
let's move on.
So to just because I'm just got distracted because you kind of threw me off a little.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think Lookman has been a catalyst for Fulham, and yeah, I can't help but laugh every time I see the penalty. But it was a shame. I think another catalyst, but for West Ham this time, is Thomas Souček, who I think is brilliant.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
You know what? He's the type of player that I aspire to be. Has tackling instincts, but gets goals. And if I can improve my goal outlet, he's the type of player that I could be in the mould of.
And they got him
Yeah.
on loan, didn't they, first? And then they made the loan permanent, so he wasn't an expensive signing at all. He was quite
And
cheap,
not for
wasn't he?
like you said, not for loads of money either. West Ham, I think they're another one of those teams that have done a lot better than people realise, but I don't think West Ham as a team, and definitely not Will's favourite person in the whole wide world, David Moyes, do not get the credit the team or the manager deserve.
They've turned it around, I'll give him
Yeah.
that.
Hugely. And
Well, it's actually
um,
Moyes I don't have a problem with. It's Ferguson absolutely being a fool, so it's his fault.
No, but I don't think so. Based on what we saw from David Moyes for 10 years before at Everton, I think he was the perfect choice.
No, I disagreed at the time. I disagree now.
Well, what do you think, Sam? Do you? Okay, maybe a perfect choice is a strong word, but it was definitely one of the choices I would have asked.
I think Fergie didn't right to pick him. He wanted. He wouldn't just pick somebody because he was a fellow Scot. Do I think there were other better options out there? Probably. Did he deserve a chance at a big job? Yes. Would I have gone for him? No. But he wasn't a poor choice. I just think he's a bit out of his depth. But yeah, he probably deserved the opportunity, yeah, after what he'd done at Everton. Because let's be honest, he was brilliant at Everton. Got them to the Champions League.
That was one season, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
Everton were consistently decent for like a good few years under Moyes. He did really well, especially because when he came in, they were like a lower mid-table to relegation.
Yeah, what Walter
fighting
Smith
team.
he replaced, he did.
I think you forget that like in the 90s, it was only like towards the end of the season that they avoided relegation. I remember 1996, I think it is, they survived in the Premier League because Graham Stewart scored. Otherwise, they would have gone down to the Championship. So I think, you look at what Moyes did to Everton, and he deserved what he got. But yeah, I think they're another team that always seem to buy quite shrewdly. I think the only major misfire they've had recently, and not for any fault of his own, I just don't think he fits into the way West Ham want to play, is Haller.
Yeah.
I do think he's very good, but
overrated. For that amount of money, I'm sorry, he's terrible.
Yes and no.
I
Because
think he's
why spend
average
that
or
amount of money-
poor.
Why spend that amount of money on a player if you don't play the type of system that your scouts will have seen suits him? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But then again, Moyes didn't buy him, did he?
No,
Pellegrini would it be, I think.
Last season was his first season, wasn't it? So it will have been Moyes, no?
No, it was Pellegrini.
No, yeah, you're right. Sorry, it
Yeah.
was Pellegrini. So, yeah. Again, I kind of played myself into a corner in terms of the point I was trying to make because but obviously he's come in and he wants to play a way where the likes of Ben Rama and Antonio and Bowen are the key men, and they really are, and have progressed really well. Whereas sort of the big, tall front man who can head the ball and stuff kind of is more secondary to that. But yeah, great win for West Ham. Deserved it as well. I think it would have been, a bit tough on West Ham. But like I said, I think Fulham have been a lot more positive recently. Scott Parker has shown that he knows how to motivate the boys. Like I said, Lookman, fantastic purchase for me. Also, players that were with Fulham when they were last in the Premier League that have come back, like Zambo Anguissa, who I think is incredible. So signs of improvement for Fulham, and West Ham just continue to do better than we thought, which is good. It's really good for them. Moving on to Sunday, because I'm aware that it's getting to the point now that we're a bit pressed for time. West Brom Tottenham. Now, what I am going to say is I thought West Brom...
I didn't see the game.
West Brom did really, really well. Defended well, created chances, and were unlucky. But when you have got the quality of Son and Kane, pressure is going to tell.
Yes.
And if Sam hasn't seen the game, and I can't imagine Will has seen too much of it, there's not
I
too
think I
much.
saw Kane's goal, I think.
There's not too much to talk about, really. I think
No.
Tottenham are one of those teams, again, like Chelsea, progressing really kind of quietly under the radar after they've come under some criticism.
They've got a good first 11, but their second team, particularly in the Europa League, has proved that they need more a good backup team as well, I think. When Kane and Son aren't there, so that's their only problem for me.
Yeah, but I've not seen too much of that Vinicius yet, but he scored like 26 goals in 45 games or something like that in the
For
Portuguese league,
I think,
yeah.
Isn't it?
So I don't think we can rule him out as a decent backup option.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, won't it? I mean, but Son and Kane, what a partnership. I mean, we know they've been fantastic players, but they seem to have a really good understanding with each other.
And Harry Kane's passing's become excellent.
Yeah, I feel like it was quite harsh on Harry Kane that Heung-min Son got Player of the Month, because I think it should have gone to Harry Kane.
I think so. Either one.
But I think that as a striker, out and out, his assist output as well is phenomenal.
And he's still getting goals. It doesn't seem to have compromised his goal score.
So
yeah, no, I agree.
Just before we move on, George, obviously your opinion of Harry Kane, has it changed?
Yeah. I like him a lot more than I used to.
Yeah.
I think now that he's added that extra bit of dimension into his game, I can understand why the way I've been about Harry Kane was pretty harsh.
Yeah.
It's always good to stand by what you say, so I will do, because I think if you're gonna say things and do things, you should always stand by your point. So I will do that, even if it's kind of a detriment to me. But I think Harry Kane's proving just how good he is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, and not much more to say about that. So we're ready to move on.
So obviously the next game was what was the next game? So Leicester and Wolves. Sorry, That's
Yeah.
really bad. I was literally thinking about it, and then I said the bloody wrong one. It wasn't an amazing game with loads of chances, but obviously there were two key points, which were the Vardy penalty. The first one, and then the second one. The first one being converted, and the second one being saved. Opinions on the game? Because I've not seen too much of it.
I saw the game. Well, I listened to some of it on the radio and saw the game. Leicester weren't at their best, but they were solid. I'm loving Stefano, an absolute Fofana. He looks an
Fofana,
absolute
yeah.
steal.
He's good.
But that's just Leicester all over, isn't it? Buying
Yeah.
good players.
What's really... Oh, sorry, Sam.
Go on.
What's really
Alright,
impressive for Leicester for me is they've got quite a lot of injuries, but they're still managing to perform really, really well. I mean, they're missing, Ricardo Pereira, who's been a huge miss for them. James Maddison, he's back now. But also Wesley, however you pronounce his name, he's fitted in quite well, hasn't he?
Fofana, he literally just said it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the point on Fofana. I think Leicester they look like a team that know their level at the minute. Obviously, performing incredibly well in the Europa League as well.
They look. Sorry to interrupt, but just going on what Will said, they look like they do have a great squad now. Like the squad, you look at the players that are missing, but the quality they've still got in there.
Wilfred Ndidi, he's
Will
a massive
mentioned
miss as well.
Ricardo, but they've had Saintu missing. I know Evans came back, but they've had him missing. They've had Ndidi missing. They've had
Daniel Amate,
Castagna, and yet they've still got so much quality. So maybe Leicester have the squad to challenge with.
I've heard that being asked, and I think I don't remember who it was that said it. I think they laughed it off and said, I don't know, but they did it before with a worse squad than what they've got now.
They did.
Well, I'm not sure it was a worse squad. Yeah, the squad wasn't as good.
A worse squad. Let me change that. A worse squad all round.
Yes.
A worse squad all round. They won the league with Vasilevsky and Morgan at the back.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky, Morgan, and Huth. Don't get me wrong, I rate Robert Huth. I rate Wes Morgan. But I think Evans and Fofana and Soyuncu are way better.
But a big thing for me is how they're coping with Europe as well, and the fact that, like Will said, they've had so many players out. Because you would have said that with all those injuries, Leicester, they'd still get a few wins, but they'd struggle a lot more. But actually,
it's so impressive.
The fact they've got so many players to come back does pose the question: can they challenge for the league?
Yeah, and I think that's something that we'll see play out over the next couple of weeks for me.
Can they win the league? Do they have the squad to challenge?
Can they win the league?
Who knows? It's a strange season, isn't it?
Now I'm thinking about it. I don't want to say no, because I spent the entire of 15-16 saying no, and yet they still won the league. Even when they were like 8 points clear, I was saying, there's no way they're going to do it. So you can't say no in the Premier League.
In football in general.
But there are stronger teams at the minute, in my opinion. Just a word on Wolves. I find them.
They were very starved.
Yeah, I find them incredibly inconsistent.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
They don't turn up in the first half.
Wolves are a bit weird this year, aren't they? They're not like their old selves.
I think Will said it in last week's podcast.
Matt Doherty and Diogo Jota. Big misses
Yeah,
for
but
me.
not just that, because I think it's wrong to just say that, because they have brought in quality in that position. But the one
Yeah, I
thing that
don't like Semedo. I'm not sure about it.
yeah, the one thing that you did say that I do agree on is if Jimenez doesn't perform, then the rest of the team doesn't. I think Podence has come into his own since Jota's left. I like him a lot. Semedo, there was a lot of hype around Semedo, and he's just not. Again, I've not seen too much. He doesn't seem to be pulling up any trees, which is fine. Obviously, you look at the back line. I like Willy Bolly. I like Connor Cody.
Connor Cody's great. He should be playing more for England, I think.
That young French lad, Ait Nouri, obviously scored against
Oh, yeah, I
Palace
can never
and he's
pronounce his name.
a bit of a run in the team, but so the judgment's still out on him because he's only young. I still stand by the fact that they're a good side. I just think that, especially now that it seems like the league is slowly starting to sort of shape towards where it should be.
I can't
Wolves
put my
need to
thing on
start
it. There's
finding
just something not
consistency.
quite right at Wolves, I feel.
Yeah,
I
I think they don't play well enough in the first half for me. It's all very well saying, well, we'll keep it nice and tight in the first half. They just fine when you're an away team, but just they leave themselves with too much to do sometimes.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think about how to word how I want to say it. It's one of those that you can't look too much into because so many teams have been inconsistent.
It's
However,
been a weird season. I think it'll continue to be a weird season.
It is a thing with Wolves where it's win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, and that definitely does raise eyebrows. I wouldn't say it puts pressure on Nuno, because I think you look at what he's done as a whole for Wolves as a club, and
Oh, I
don't
love
think
him.
they'd
He's a
ever get
great
rid of him.
manager.
Unless
He
they
could
got
manage Man United in.
unless they got relegated, I don't think he would leave.
No. He has
He's
a
just
great
signed a
beard
new
as well,
deal.
Nuno.
He's just signed a new deal, 3-year deal.
Got a great beard, was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
I
seriously, he's a brilliant manager, and he's done so much. He's done so well there over the years that he deserves to be given the chance to, see what more he can do there.
In terms of games, we're literally almost right at the end now. It's been a bit of a slog. We've gone off course a little bit. But the next two games are probably, specifically the last one, are really interesting. So, Man City versus Liverpool. We talked about what a gamble it was to do 4 up front. I think Liverpool did very well.
I thought first half was fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously. I think it was a great advertisement for the Premier League.
Yeah. It was like a mid 2000s.
Arsenal Man.
Yeah,
it was like the Arsenal Man United games used to be.
Yeah, because it was definite blood and thunder from start to finish.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
The first half.
Sorry,
apologies.
It's okay. All I was saying was that I like that because it felt no matter who the big names are in the league and stuff, no matter how much money gets spent, there's always going to be that point where the Premier League returns to what made it so popular in the first place, which is the sort of blood and thunder rivalries and the entertaining games that are end to end, because it was quite end
and
to
the
end.
managers as well.
I just wanted to talk quickly about Jesus' goal. Did he mean it or not?
Yes.
I think he did.
Yes.
I think it was quality.
It was. He did mean it. He absolutely meant it. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, we covered it on Football Central, but what I will say, the first half for me was absolutely fantastic. The second half, it certainly wasn't boring. It was still good. I was a little bit disappointed that it was, they sort of slowed down a bit, but it was still a great game. There's still lots of great moments, and really enjoyed it.
De Bruyne's penalty miss. What did we think?
Unbelievable.
I expected him to do better, actually, with that. That surprised me that he missed. But did he... Because he did struggle with injury, didn't he? He went down, but then he continued, but then he went down again. So I'm thinking maybe he wasn't quite right.
Knowing Guardiola, though, if he thought that De Bruyne was a risk, considering how important De Bruyne is, he would have taken him off, surely.
Well, yes, because he would have known how, De Bruyne... The frustrating thing about De Bruyne is... Well, actually, you could say, we talked about the best set-piece takers. Kevin De Bruyne has scored some great free kicks as well. Would you put him in there?
Yeah.
He's consistent too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure pure free kicks, but in terms of his all-round crossing, he's the best.
He's a brilliant player. It's just frustrating, that he gets...
In open play.
It's just frustrating for him, doesn't it? Because he can't seem to stay fit for a long amount of time, and it must be so frustrating for a player. He
doesn't struggle to get back to form, though.
No, and credit to him, because he's an absolutely great player. And I often joke about Zinchenko being De Bruyne's brother, but less pink in the face because they look so similar.
Well, do you know that the Man City players call him Kevin?
What, Zinchenko?
Yeah, I heard that. I think I saw that on the All or Nothing documentary.
He hates it, so they call him. They go, "Hey, how you doing, Kev?"
Oh, that's great. I'm going to have to give that a watch sometime.
And obviously, just a quick mention as well. No Van Dijk, no Fabinho, and now no Gomez.
How long do we know how long Gomez is out?
Apparently, all he said was a significant portion of the season, so
that does not sound good.
I wouldn't know.
But
I'm available, Jurgen. I'm available. I'm a defensive midfielder. I can play centre.
It'll be really interesting to see
you
if...
wouldn't be winning many headers.
Can Nico Williams play at centre-back?
Yes.
So, yeah, for me, the one I'd like to see being given a run in the team is Nat Phillips, I think, because he's a really interesting one. So, for me, I'd personally like to see him start.
That's their only senior, other than like the Neco Williams and whatever the other one is. Is it Ryan or Reece Williams? The other one. That's their only two. Yeah, that's their only two senior options.
Yeah.
Other than Matip, of course, or playing.
But then Matip can't keep himself fit either, can he?
Or they could play. What's his name? I heard the linked with Daryl Janmaat on a short term.
Daryl Janmaat? Is that the best they can do? Daryl Janmaat?
There probably aren't that many decent...
Or they've got that 17-year-old, he's quite pink in the face, ginger kid.
Yeah, you know...
Why do you keep saying... What the hell's pink in the face? Why do you keep saying that?
Well, because he's a bit like De Bruyne, always red in the face, he seems to be.
You know who I think they should go for? Chelsea, Liverpool, Antonio Rudiger, who would be great experience there.
Yeah. Or Upamecano.
And
I think Van Dijk getting injured paves the way for Upamecano for me.
he's brilliant. I tell you what, on my FIFA, he's 26 years of age now, and he's maturing so much. He's a beast. He's not getting like past. He's everywhere. I mean, he's always been good for me, but now he's 26. He is absolutely unbelievable. And I think by the time he gets to 30, he'll be at 90 rated. I'm pretty sure.
I signed
I'm
him
really,
up.
really sorry. It's just because I'm really, really keen because we've only got one game left until we're done to get this done before 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Because that does mean that we have been going for like 2 and a bit hours, which we said we weren't going to do, but I think it was bound to happen when we started on bloody refereeing decisions. Just to talk about Liverpool, it will be interesting. You know, we talked about no Van Dijk, but especially now there's no Gomez either and no Fabinho. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do.
I think they'll struggle because they're in the Champions League as well. I think if they were in the league, they weren't in Europe, they might get away with it, but I think it will tell against the bigger side.
Nathaniel Phillips is actually he's played in Europe, hasn't he? With
yeah, but only once.
Oh right.
That's in the second Bundesliga as well. That's obviously the German second tier. Like
German
it's nowhere
League
near
Two.
it's nowhere near the Premier League, so I wouldn't be saying anything about that.
Sorry, Will, I didn't realise he played in the Bundesliga. I apologise.
No, the second Bundesliga, the Bundesliga 2.
What's so funny about that? It's still a league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the German Championship.
So what's wrong with that?
Teams in that league.
Oh, it's just you don't hear about it often, so it's just funny, I suppose.
So, just to talk about City as well, because we focused a lot on Liverpool. I stand by what I said last week when I said I feel like City are starting to come together. I think, no Aguero, no Jesus. Jesus' goal, phenomenal. I don't think we can talk about it enough to do it justice, but I thought it was brilliant.
Ruben Dias and
Did you prefer that goal or Jamie Vardy's against Man City?
Jamie Vardy's against Man City being the back heel.
Yeah. Well, it was like a Cruyff thing.
Tough call.
Can I just say, boys, that I want to talk about Laporte and Ruben Dias, who I think have proven to be very solid partnership that they're forming in defence.
Isn't that the first time they've played together?
No, they've played a couple of times. And João Cancelo, how good is he at left back, it seems?
Yeah, I'm so happy about that.
They have unlocked him, haven't they? Because he's never done well at right back, but although Carl Walker, what a terrible game he had.
Yeah, I mean, stupid, and we talked about him. I think he's what he is. He is in the he is in a category of world-class defenders. But the only problem with him is he does have that really stupid lapse of judgment. It's basic defending, and
he'll throw in an error.
City don't have any alternatives, do they? At right back. For me, they need a right back, I think, to challenge Walker.
No, I completely disagree. Because I think you think about it, he's 30 years old. I don't think as a player he's going to change at this point.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys think.
I think they need a new right back.
Now this one's interesting. The final game, of course, of the day was Arsenal and Villa.
Villa are doing great. I saw the highlights.
Did anybody see that coming?
I thought they had a chance. I did think they had a chance.
No, I thought Arsenal was good form. I thought they'd be.
Yeah, I don't think they've been amazing though. I must admit. But you know, Watkins is, I think, an inspired signing.
He
seems to
absolutely
fit.
made a flying start, hasn't he? In the Premier
He's
League.
fit in really well. It's just interesting. And then of course, you know, you look at the Saka own goal, and it's just unlucky. Poor bloke. I really felt for him. He's one of the standout performers for them.
He's rarely had a poor game, hasn't he, Saka?
One of those teams, Arsenal, where even though, you know, it's not often that they, you know, it can happen quite a lot where they have a poor result. I don't hear a lot about pressure on Arteta, which I think is good because he has done a good job there. And obviously, you know, I think the ideas that he has for the club are very good.
And Edu. Let's not forget Edu, you know, in charge of transfer business now.
Yeah, but I agree with that. Don't get me wrong, but I also think, like, when you've got a manager that knows the club and knows what they're doing, you know, it's hugely important. I don't know what you think, Sam.
I agree. And I think Arsenal are going to be inconsistent for a while. I do, because I think they've still got to find the feet. What I would say is, like United, they play with an identity, and that'll put Arsenal in good stead. I think Arteta will be a really good manager. I really do. He just needs to bed in.
Yeah, I do feel like he's one of those that could go to the top of management. Not that Arsenal aren't a top side to manage, because you know, that's something I agree.
He might go with the top with Arsenal.
I think Arteta will eventually get there. I really do. And you know,
what about Villa then? Because we've not really talked about them enough, which I think does them a huge disservice. You know, obviously they lost their last game, and you know, I think some people thought it might be normal service resumed in terms of them, but they were so good, so good.
They were. I'd like to particularly, obviously John McGinn's massive being back. I think he's as important as Grealish in terms of the balance of the team. And I'd also like to say, obviously, we've said about Ollie Watkins, who's proving to be good. I wasn't sure. I have to admit, I've liked Ollie Watkins, but the step up, but he's delivering. But the relationship between Barkley and Grealish looks very good. I think Jackson, Trey, and having Ross, it's like who can do more dribbles, who can create more chances. It's like a little mini competition.
And that's good. That kind of thing is so important for players, especially like Grealish, who has taken time for him to be seen in the light that I feel like he deserves to be seen in now. And Barkley the same. You know, there was a lot of talk about him, and then it sort of turned into, you know, he's overrated and stuff like that. And now he seems to have found a good place to sort of prove what he's got in his locker, which I think is great, and he deserves that.
I've always liked him.
Yeah. Have you got anything else to add on that?
Well, I just want to talk about Arsenal as well, because Thomas Partey came off injured, so they'll be hoping that injury is not too serious, because he's out of the Ghana team as well. He came off at half time.
To be honest, you know, they do look better with Partey, but they also started the season without him. So I think they should be able to adapt accordingly. But we'll see. But yeah, he's another one that started really well, isn't he, Partey?
Yeah.
What do you think about ending it there? Obviously, there are no Premier League games to be played, so we don't need to do predictions.
Well, we don't need to do predictions, but we can look at just some of the other fixtures, like who each team have got next.
Yeah, but won't we do that exact same thing next Thursday?
Oh, you're right, yes.
I just don't see the point in doing one thing and then sort of doing it again, if that makes sense.
No, you're right.
So how about you bring us home, Will?
Yeah, that's fine, Will.
Sorry,
Thank you.
I'm falling asleep here.
Thank you to JLIWheels and Sam Taylor for your company, boys.
You're very
as
welcome.
always. Thank you.
Thank you.
It'll
It's
take
been-
Will about a week to put this video up anyway, so.
Yeah, I aim to get it out all tomorrow evening or something, because it will take a long time to put together.
If you watch this podcast, you enjoyed it, you've got a comment you want to leave for us, join in the conversation, then we'll be happy to get involved. Leave a comment, share with your friends, like the video, subscribe. We're kind of, I don't want to say this in a strange way, but we're on the road to 100 now.
Yep.
We've reached 50. We want the next milestone. We feel like the podcast is a good way to provide the content that we do, just in sort of smaller chunks, even though this one is going to be a good 2 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure, which is good for Will and his poor little heart. So yeah, if you do enjoy, then do leave a like and all the stuff I've already said. We'll be back on next Thursday to, all we're going to do basically is preview the games and maybe talk a little
preview
bit
the
about
next round of matches.
maybe talk a little bit about the international break. We'll see what happens and
just some general football chat, which would be good to do, like we did in March time.
Yeah, so that's exciting, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. If you want to.
See you, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Even though I don't agree with the format of the show,
Oh, boo!
stop complaining,
Don't
Sam.
complain to the referee.
No, you want to know why you get less viewers. I think it's good when it rolls, and I think it's a bit of a wimpish way out. But who do I know? I'm just
okay, mate.
I'm just a person that comments on the show, so it's not my issue. So if you don't like it, people, please put a comment, or if you do like it, please put a comment, and the main man will, I'm sure, sort it out.
Or he'll probably, I'm sure he'll just ignore it.
If you want to, like, share, comment and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel. And from all of us here, good night.
Good night.
Night.